They discovered the shocking truth behind Jesus' real name. Is it truly what you think? Few knew what truly happened that night in Bethlehem, under a sky filled with stars that seemed to whisper secrets. It was a night like no other, when history shifted and the air crackled with an unexplainable energy. Shadows danced in the flickering light of a fire, as a humble couple awaited the birth of a child destined to change the world. They were scared, alone, with only a handful of animals for company, but deep inside, an overwhelming sense of purpose filled the air. In a time of turmoil, when an oppressive regime loomed over Judea, hope felt distant, almost like a mirage. Joseph paced, worry etched on his face, his brow glistening with sweat. Mary, weary but strong, held her breath, aware that a miracle was unfolding, yet unsure of what it all meant. What name would they give this child, the one promised by angels? Few understood that in the naming was power, a truth that could shatter their already fragile world. As darkness settled, brilliant light spilled from the stable, startling shepherds keeping watch over their flocks. They exchanged nervous glances, hearts racing. Could it be? One whispered. The heavens roared with rejoicing. Yet down below, humans could only tremble at the mystery before them. What if this child bore a name that would shake the very foundations of their faith? Rumors swirled like wildfires. Some believed he would be called Yeshua, a name that spoke of salvation and deliverance. But others in their midst wondered, was there more to it than that? In the distance, wise men, with their lavish gifts, followed a star that pulsed like a heartbeat. Their eyes sparkled with conviction and doubt, driving them forward into the unknown. What awaited them at the end of their journey? Would they find the one destined to reign, or would they uncover a truth too powerful to comprehend? Tension coiled around each heart, each breath held in hopes of revelation. The winds howled like mournful spirits, and the earth itself trembled. A solitary cry pierced the night. It was here, in this fragile moment, that lives would change forever. But as the infant's first wails echoed, the greatest secret lingered in the shadows. Would humanity ever know the true name that would carry such weight? Hey! Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The air was thick with anticipation, the silence of the night punctuated only by the soft cries of a newborn. In that humble stable, time seemed to lose its meaning. Mary, cradling her precious son, gazed into his eyes, which held the mystery of ages. What wisdom resided behind those innocent features? As she held him close, she felt the weight of her destiny pressing against her heart. This child was not just hers. He was a gift to the world, a promise woven into the very fabric of creation. Joseph knelt beside them, his hands trembling as he touched the tiny fingers that wrapped around his own. Each moment felt sacred, a connection that transcended their fears and uncertainties. "We must decide on a name," he whispered, his voice barely audible. Mary nodded slowly, deep in thought. Yeshua, it felt right, but the significance of it rang deeper than they could express. What did this name represent beyond deliverance? Could it hold another truth, one that would unveil or conceal the true essence of their child? Outside, the shepherds stood frozen, drawn in by the radiance spilling from the stable. A light so bright it seemed alive whispered of hope and new beginnings. "Should we approach?" One dared to ask, wrestling with both fear and curiosity. Another replied, "What if our presence disturbs his peace?" Yet they could not remain still, for something invisible pulled them closer, awakening an unspoken longing for answers in the distance. The wise men pressed forward, guided by the shimmering star that hung low on the horizon. Each step taken felt like a pilgrimage to a truth long yearned for but understood only in fragments. Their gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, represented more than earthly treasures. They embodied honor and recognition of greatness. Was it reverence or curiosity that drove them on? The night held both questions and answers, entwining them in a tapestry of destiny as Mary and Joseph whispered amongst themselves. The anticipation from the shepherds and wise men grew palpable. What if the child were to be named in the presence of these men? What might that name reveal about the prophecy and their future? And what would they say if they believed there was more than what met the eye? The sacred moment held tight, the air trembling with divine purpose. Moments passed, but the cry of the infant lingered like a prayer suspended in time. The starlit sky bore witness to an uncharted journey, not just for the wise men and shepherds, but for all humanity. Would this birth lead them to truth or further into the shadows of misunderstanding? As the visitors prepared to enter, each carrying their own hopes and fears, one thought loomed large. Was the name they sought only a surface reflection, or did it conceal a mystery too potent for mere mortals to grasp? Would they, in their pursuit to honor the child, discover the deeper significance of who he was truly meant to be? The stable was filled with the soft glow of the flickering light, illuminating the faces of those who gathered there in reverence. As the shepherds ventured closer, their hearts swelled not only with hope, but with the gravity of what was unfolding before them. They found themselves captivated, not just by the sight of the child, but by the air that enveloped him, a tangible aura of peace and promise. Mary, noticing the shepherds' tentative steps, encouraged their approach with a gentle smile. Joseph remained by her side, his heart brimming with the weight of responsibility. "What will we say?" he murmured, his eyes darting to Mary's, seeking assurance. They were acutely aware that every word, every glance, carried the power to shape not just their circumstance but the fate of generations to come. As the first shepherd kneeled, bowing his head in humility, the words that escaped his lips were reverent and raw. "We have come to worship him who is born a king, the one foretold in the scriptures." As if awakening a dormant energy, the air vibrated with a collective inhale. Each person present felt the gravity of his declaration. This child was destined for greatness, yet the weight of it lay as delicate as the straw beneath him. The wise men, arriving moments later, bore their gifts with a solemnity befitting a royal audience. The gold gleamed like sunlight upon a shimmering horizon, representing kingship, the frankincense, a sweet offering for divinity, and the myrrh, an enigmatic gift that signified a life that would bear both suffering and sacrifice. Kneeling with profound respect, they presented the gifts, their minds swirling with questions of the future. "Is he truly the one?" one whispered, glancing back at the star that brought them to this humble place of wonder. Mary and Joseph exchanged incredulous looks as the weight of their child's identity pressed upon them. If this child was to be marked as king, to what end would it lead? Joseph's heart raced with both pride and fear. Who was he, a simple carpenter, to stand beside such an extraordinary child? Yet Mary, steady and resolute, felt a soothing calm wash over her. She sensed that this gathering might be the beginning of something that had yet to be revealed fully. In that moment, each visitor was overwhelmed by an unexplainable yearning to understand. What will this child bring to our world? One shepherd pondered aloud, his voice trembling. Will he fulfill the promise of deliverance for our people? The air thickened with unanswered questions, as if the fabric of destiny itself was woven tightly around each soul present. They were all seekers, questioning not just the child's path but the essence of hope itself. Mary looked into the eyes of the men before her, each filled with a mixture of yearning and uncertainty. She felt compelled to share the truth of the child's name, but felt the heaviness of the divine mystery wrapped within it. "His name is Yeshua," she finally breathed, producing a thread of understanding amongst them. "For he shall save his people." But beyond that familiar echo of deliverance, a chilling whisper lingered beneath the surface. The name carried a significance that might echo into realms of understanding yet unfathomable. What if Yeshua held deeper layers of meaning tied to the very fabric of the cosmos? As the visitors exchanged hushed murmurs, a new question shimmered in the air. Was Yeshua merely a title of salvation, or did it point towards an enigmatic mystery yet to be unveiled? Each heart present resonated with the pull of a greater truth, but the shadows of their own expectations danced just beyond the flickering warmth of the stable. What other revelations lay hidden in the mystery of this name, and in the journey that lay ahead for the child known as Yeshua? Would the true essence of his identity remain a revelation hidden from the world, waiting for the right moment to shine? As the stars twinkled in the vast sky, casting their serene glow upon the earth, the stable became a sanctuary for wonder and inquiry. The shepherds and wise men, having offered their gifts, lingered in that sacred space, drawn deeper into contemplation. The hush of awe enveloped them, as if the very universe was holding its breath, awaiting revelation. Mary cradled Yeshua close, her heart swelling as she gazed into his tiny, innocent face. The weight of what she had given birth to felt heavier with each passing moment. She sensed not only the love and protection she wanted to bestow upon her son, but also a whisper of destiny calling to her from the depths of creation. As each visitor dwelled upon the notion that the child before them was the anticipated Savior, Mary pondered how this journey would weave together the complex tapestry of faith and humanity's yearning for salvation. The shepherds, still kneeling, shared stories of their watch over their flocks. They spoke of life amidst humble landscapes filled with uncertainty, and they began to wonder if this child would change the course of their existence. Would his reign bring peace to the troubled hearts of their families, healing to their sorrows, and hope to their unyielding struggles? Each question hung in the air, echoing the longings of their souls. Meanwhile, one of the wise men, bathed in the dust and wisdom of distant lands, leaned forward, captivated. How can he be our deliverer if he lies in such humility? He mused, wrestling with the paradox presented before him. His gaze drifted over the child, the embodiment of untold potential. A king should be born into power, not in a stable surrounded by livestock. Yet, beneath his skepticism lay a budding curiosity. Perhaps this humble beginning was the very point of divine irony that would flip worldly expectations on their head. As contemplative silence enveloped them, they began to feel that Yeshua was not solely a name. It hinted at a mission greater than the confines of a small town or the limitations of a simple life. The air thickened with anticipation as they recognized that what they were witnessing might serve as a prelude to revelations yet unveiled. Could the essence of this child transcend the earthly nature of his birth? Joseph, observing the transformation of the atmosphere, felt a surge of responsibility rise within him. This boy was not just Mary's son. He carried the weight of a collective hope. His name is not merely a title, he said softly, his voice steady but tinged with an unshakable reverence. It encompasses all that he is to be. A savior, yes, but also a teacher, a healer, and perhaps something beyond what we can currently understand. At this, another shepherd spoke up, voice quivering with anticipation. Will we see him take up the mantle of kingship, or does he come to redefine our perceptions of power itself? Mary's heart quickened at his words. She looked once more into Yeshua's eyes and whispered, I believe he will show us what it means to follow love itself. The deepening mystery within crafted a bond among them, each achieving glimpses of the greater reality entailed by his identity. Yet, the unanswered questions lingered like shadows on the fringes of their thoughts. What would come next for this child of destiny? Did the name Yeshua truly hold the essence of salvation, or was it an invitation to enter into deeper mysteries than they could fathom? With each heartbeat and every soft rustle of the stable, they felt the weight of a truth yet to be fully grasped. In this sacred moment, the travelers of faith began to realize they were not just witnesses but participants in a divine narrative. What sacrifice would come, and what paths would Yeshua tread? The flickering light revealed more than elements of devotion. It sparked an unending quest for understanding. Would they, as seekers, unravel the threads of his destiny, or would they, too, find themselves surprised by the unfolding of his purpose? As dawn began to paint the sky with soft hues of orange and pink, the stable remained alive with hushed whispers and deep contemplation. The shepherds, though weary from their long night, felt an electric energy coursing through them, urging them to stay. They huddled closer together, eyes fixed on the child who slept peacefully in his mother's arms. Amidst this intimate gathering, one of the wise men, Balthasar, felt a stirring in his heart. You mentioned Joseph, that his name holds all that he will become, he began, his brow furrowing as he pondered. But could it be that names contain not just identity but the very fabric of fate itself? What if Yeshua is more than a name, but a message waiting to be understood? The gathered friends turned their attention to Balthasar, intrigued by the depth of his insight. Indeed, another shepherd chimed in, could it be that his name invites us into a relationship with the Savior we yearn for? A call to not only witness but also to engage with his journey. Mary, holding her child gently, felt a wave of connection wash over her. Yes, she breathed, her voice soft yet profound. Every name carries a weight of destiny. I feel this name Yeshua is already asking us to lay down our burdens, to believe in the love that is being offered through him. The atmosphere shifted as the shepherds began to share stories that reached into the depths of their souls. Each life encounter punctuated by hardship and longing merged seamlessly into a fabric of hope. They spoke of wanderings, the cold nights under open skies, and the palpable yearning for deliverance from the shadows of despair. It was as if the birth of this child had ignited a flicker of light against their darkness. Yet, questions still hung heavily between them. Could Yeshua's name truly be their answer, not just in words but through acts of compassion? What would it look like for love to redefine their lives? As the sun rose higher, casting a golden glow upon the stable, the shepherds and wise men began to dream together, imagining a world turned upside down by the presence of this child. That in that moment of shared hope, the door to the stable creaked open, breaking the sanctity of their reflection. A lowly figure appeared, an elderly woman shrouded in a worn cloak, her face lined with the stories of many seasons. I heard whispers of a miraculous child born tonight, she said, her voice quaking with a blend of weariness and reverence. Is it true? Is this child here? Mary nodded, inviting the woman closer. His name is Yeshua. He brings forth hope, though we are still discovering what that hope means. What a beautiful name, the woman replied, her eyes shimmering with unspoken wisdom. In my dreams, I have seen the power of names, how they bind us to our purpose and call forth our deepest aspirations. And Yeshua, that name? It means God saves. But what kind of salvation might we be beckoned toward? Each heart in the stable widened in the awakening comprehension that salvation might exist beyond mere rescue. As the elder spoke, the possibilities unraveled like a scroll, revealing threads of compassion, justice, and connection to one another. Would this child inspire a revolution of the heart, leading them toward genuine community and unity? The shared silence felt pregnant with revelations yet to come. In that simple stable, the child Yeshua began to weave a narrative that could not be contained to the confines of a name. The air thickened with anticipation, fostering a solidarity among all who were present, a collective yearning to follow where the unfolding of the story would lead them. As the meeting light burst through the stable, illuminating their resolve like a flame, they pondered. What would it truly mean for them to understand and embrace the essence of Yeshua? Would they be willing to let the name inspire action within their hearts? Or would it remain merely a title without the transformative power it promised? As the brightness of the day spilled into the stable, the faces of those gathered grew animated with wonder and unease. The elderly woman, having entered with a spirit heavy with stories untold, now brightened as if filled with a warmth akin to the morning sun. Each individual felt the gravity of her words reverberate through their spirits. "Tell me your name, dear woman," Joseph asked, as he stepped forward with cautious curiosity. "You bear such wisdom. Surely, it must carry its own weight." "I am called Naomi," she replied, her voice steady as she regarded the child. "I have wandered these hills for many years, bringing solace to those who suffer. In my life, I have learned, much like the seasons, that names hold the power to shape reality." The shepherds listened intently, their hearts pounding with a mixture of respect and desire for understanding. "What do you know of this child?" one whispered, his eyes darting toward Yeshua, who remained blissfully unaware of the conversations swirling around him. Naomi inhaled deeply, her gaze lifting toward the heavens visible through the stable's opening. "I have seen the stars align on this night, holding promises from ages past. Yeshua is but a fragment of the tapestry being woven in this very moment." What has been written in the stars speaks of a Messiah who is both a savior and a servant. This child carries the essence of liberation, not through sword or shield, but through love and sacrifice. A chill swept through the stable as each heart grappled with this profound revelation. The idea of salvation taking the form of softness instead of might seemed foreign yet beautifully alluring. Could love truly conquer the despair of our times? Balthasar pondered aloud, his thoughts ignited by the journey that lay ahead. Yes, indeed, Naomi affirmed, her eyes glancing meaningfully toward Mary. But be warned, the path set before you will not be without hardships. To follow Yeshua is to embrace the fullness of humanity and to bear each other's burdens. His essence lies in the unity of all creation. In that moment, a new understanding began to bloom among the group. The whimpering cries of the world outside the stable echoed within them as they reflected on their own baggage and struggles. Would they be willing to stand with each other in their uncertainties, just as Yeshua himself would stand with the downtrodden? A sense of urgency arose, pressing them to articulate what this revolutionary love might entail. What did it mean to love in a world fraught with divisions and pain? As they shared resonating thoughts of both hope and fear, they realized the journey had only just begun. Mary, still cradling the sleeping child, felt a deeper stirring within her soul. Embracing the fragile bundle, she whispered, "Yeshua is the essence of our hope, but also the embodiment of our challenges. There will be moments when love leads us to uncharted waters where we are called to confront awe-inspiring truths, as well as our deepest fears with every word spoken." The group's bond solidified, as if woven together by an invisible thread spun from the heavens above. Yet they remained at a crossroads, wrestling with a growing sense of purpose mixed with doubt. Unsure of the next step. As they marveled at the sight of the child, the completeness of both innocence and divine potential questions began to swirl within. What does it mean to wear the mantle of love in a world yearning for salvation? How would they embody the call they felt stirring in their hearts, reflecting the purpose of Yeshua's name? The air pulsed with these unresolved mysteries, and just like the dawn breaking over the horizon, their journey into transformational love spread before them, a canvas yet to be painted by their actions. Would they heed the call to brave the uncertainties ahead, transforming the very essence of their lives and the lives of others? As the whispers of hope mingled with the chill in the air, the stable seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. Attention filled the space, rich with expectation, yet tempered with uncertainty. Naomi turned her gaze back to Yeshua, her heart heavy with the weight of what she knew. Long ago, a voice told me that every spirit comes to this world carrying the weight of names, she began, her words wrapping around the fragile silence like a warm embrace. Each name not only identifies but also calls forth destiny. This child, Yeshua, is destined to illuminate the path for many. Yet his name, a word that rolls off the tongue with familiarity, contains layers of meaning that may forever elude our grasp. What do you mean, Naomi? Mary asked, her brow furrowed, intrigued yet apprehensive. What lies hidden within the sound of his name? In ancient times, names were not mere labels but living symbols of truth and purpose. Yeshua, derived from the Hebrew word for salvation, carries within it a promise of deliverance that refuses to be confined by the ordinary. Yet the world often seeks to define them by their surface meanings, stripping away the rich depths hidden underneath. Joseph nodded, contemplating the implications of her words. And if we overlook the power of this name, what are we missing? The essence of who he is, Naomi whispered, her voice quivering with emotion. What if love, true love, requires us to know him beyond the name and embrace the spirit he embodies? What if in understanding him, we discover who we are meant to be? The shepherds shifted uneasily, for within them stirred a mixture of fear and yearning. What if the world never recognizes him for all that he is? One of them finally ventured. What will become of those who look upon him and see only what they wish to see? Naomi raised her hands, palms skyward, as if inviting the heavens to lend their gravity to the moment. This child is a truth that transcends time and flesh. The world has its eyes and its ears, but the heart remains the true vessel for understanding. To know Yeshua is to know the vastness of love, to embrace the unknown, and to step into the uncharted territory of our own hearts, even when it conflicts with our comfortable realities. Mary's spirit stirred within her, ignited by the weight of Naomi's words. Would she and Joseph be able to shepherd not just their child, but the souls of those who would come to know him as the light? A swell of concern washed over her. What if we fail to guide others, to unravel the truth behind Yeshua's name? Every journey begins with small steps toward understanding, Naomi replied gently. There will be failures, heartbreaks, and moments of despair. But through humility and love, you will find the way to reflect his essence in the world. Each act of kindness, each ounce of compassion, becomes a thread woven into the fabric of his story as they absorbed Naomi's wisdom. An unspoken agreement pulsed in the room. They felt the call to share this luminous truth with the world, even as doubts clung like shadows. Would they be brave enough to sift through their fears and embrace their calling? The silence that followed felt laden with possibilities. As they stood at the edge of an unfolding narrative they were all destined to shape. The stars still twinkled brightly above, as if echoing the promise of hope against the darkness. Who would they become as they walked beside Yeshua, sharing his name and the deeper truth behind it? And with that, another question lingered in the air, heavy with contemplation. Can love truly reclaim the meaning of our identities, and in turn, redefine the name bestowed upon us by the world? In the stillness of that sacred night, a hush enveloped the stable, inviting each heart to tread softly on the threshold of destiny. The whispers of the past mingled with hopes for the future, while Yeshua lay, a bundle of promises cradled in warmth. The air grew thick with purpose, punctuated by the stirring of thoughts, as if the very elements were drawn closer to witness this pivotal moment in time. It was Zechariah who broke the contemplative silence, his voice tinged with a sense of urgency. Naomi, you speak of names and their depths, yet what of the world that lies beyond? How will they comprehend this whirlwind of meaning wrapped in a mere child's name? Will our desires for understanding drown in the noise of their everyday lives? Naomi's eyes met his, a soft depth reflecting both the burdens of truth and the light of hope. The world often chases after shadows without realizing that the light casts them. To truly grasp the name Yeshua is to journey beyond the superficiality that engulfs us. The revelation of his essence will come not through words, but through how we choose to live in his light. Mary, emboldened by the conversation, turned her gaze towards Joseph, whose brow furrowed still with the weight of fatherhood intertwined with his responsibilities to all. What if our journey to understand his name reveals the inadequacies within us? If we are to guide others, how can we ensure we illuminate the path instead of casting shadows of confusion? Joseph sighed, the gravity of their task pressing down upon his shoulders. Perhaps the first step is acknowledging our own vulnerabilities. Could it be that our hesitations, when shared, become teaching moments? In approaching the world with our own struggles laid bare, we open pathways for others to step into the light together. And isn't that the beauty of it? Naomi added, her voice rising slightly with fervor. Love blooms in the cracks we often fear to expose. By facing our fears and the misunderstandings of the name Yeshua, we can weave connections that bridge the gap of misunderstanding. As the fire flickered gently, bathing their faces in soft light, a subtle stirring filled the corners of the room. The shepherds exchanged glances, their spirits ignited by the notion of collective understanding. But what of the forces that oppose this light? The skeptics who demand proof? The powerful who wish to stifle this revelation? One among them asked, his uncertainty echoing in the dimness. Naomi nodded thoughtfully. Opposition will surely rise like a tide, it must in order to define the shore. Yet in that struggle lies an invitation for deeper reflection, a chance for growth. It is through our unwavering love that we challenge the darkness, illuminating not just the name of Yeshua, but the truth of our own existence. Each challenge we face, every question thrown our way, will offer us new opportunities to discover the depths of whom we really are. Just then, a flicker of awareness washed over the room, as they began to recognize the fabric of their own lives woven tightly with the destiny of this child. A realization dawned. Perhaps the name Yeshua would not only redefine their common stories but reconstruct the essence of their very beings. In their unity, They also might unlock a collective strength capable of spreading light into the shadows. As they pondered the ramifications of this truth, the air shifted once more. A star in the night sky pulsed faintly, as if affirming the silent hopes of those gathered in the stable, signaling that the journey was just beginning. And the mosaic of thought and feeling, one resonant question lingered, yet unfulfilled. If a name carries the weight of destiny, what lives within us waiting to be unearthed as we walk this path alongside Yeshua? As the night wore on, the flickering shadows danced upon the walls, casting fleeting images of reverence and doubt. The warmth of the stable wrapped around them, and conversations drifted gently like leaves on a breeze. Yet beneath it all lay an undercurrent of anticipation. As if they stood on the cusp of an unfolding mystery, Joseph leaned back against the wooden post, contemplating the weight of his thoughts. Each story we carry holds echoes of truth, but have we yet scratched the surface of what the name Yeshua truly embodies? This child represents a promise, not just for our lives, but for the entirety of creation. Can we grasp the fullness of that? Mary, cradling her newborn, tenderly adjusted the swaddling cloth, allowing her fingertips to linger on Yeshua's soft skin. What if to understand this name means to confront the idea of who we inherently are? Perhaps we are not merely passive observers in this narrative but active participants in the transformation that comes with it. The world outside the stable is fraught with misunderstanding, Zechariah interjected, frustration creeping into his tone. We speak of love and light, yet the forces of division and fear loom larger than we can imagine. How will we navigate these sentiments without losing our way? A shepherd, emboldened by the warmth of their exchange, spoke up. Could it be that our greatest strength comes from the stories of those who find hope in Yeshua's name? Perhaps it is in their transformed lives that we will uncover the myriad dimensions of his truth. Each heart that beats with love becomes a vessel of understanding, illuminating a path through darkness. Naomi nodded, a spark of inspiration igniting within her. Stories hold power. They bind us, lift us, and shape the very fabric of our existence. As we share our own, we enkindle curiosity in others, prompting them to consider the name Yeshua in new light. Is it not the essence of faith to seek understanding amidst uncertainty? As their discourse deepened, the star above glowed brighter, a celestial beacon, as if bearing witness to their revelations. In its radiance, they began to discern not just the name, but the ramifications that rippled outward. Each moment spent in contemplation birthed a myriad of questions, a tapestry woven with wonder and seeking. But what of the implications of his name? Asked another shepherd quietly. If Yeshua is indeed the embodiment of salvation, does that hold a mirror to our own need for redemption? Are we prepared to bear the weight of this truth? In that moment, silence cascaded over the group, the enormity of the inquiry settling heavily upon them. Each heart hesitated, grappling with the implications of becoming conduits of a name that called for change, personal, communal, and global. The flickering flames cast warm light against the coolness of the night, and as shadows played upon the stable walls, Yeshua cooed softly in response, a reminder that the simplest expressions could hold the deepest meanings. Joseph finally exhaled, a focused gaze finding each of their eyes. What if we step forward bearing the hurt of the world as a gift to this child? Where our pain meets his purpose, can we begin to redefine the essence of our existence? The thought hung in the air, resonating with the weight of possibility yet unfulfilled. It beckoned, urging them toward an acceptance not just of Yeshua's name, but of the vastness of what it meant to live under its promise. What if Yeshua's name was not merely an identity but a call to action, challenging each of them to unveil their truths and illuminate the shadows within their hearts? Is the story of this child merely beginning, or are they each a chapter unwritten, waiting for the courage to embrace the name and its unfolding mystery? As the light of dawn stretched across the horizon, illuminating the humble stable where the miraculous birth had taken place, an atmosphere of expectancy lingered within. The shepherds, wise men, and the elderly Naomi stood in a circle of unity around Mary and the infant Yeshua, whose gentle breaths seemed to echo the heartbeat of creation itself. In that heightened moment, a quiet understanding began to weave itself among them. Yeshua was more than a name. He was a divine invitation to a world waiting for transformation. What if, one shepherd murmured, his eyes reflecting both hope and uncertainty, the name Yeshua beckons us to not just behold the miracle within, but to embody it as we step into the world. Naomi nodded, her thoughts deep as an ancient well. Indeed, each of us carries our own names wrapped in stories, the burdens and beliefs that shape our identities. But with the birth of Yeshua, perhaps we are called to shed those old narratives, to reclaim our essence, and to live into our true purpose. A wise man named Gaspar, still clutching his gift of frankincense, broke the reverent silence. If this child embodies salvation, might it be that our understanding of salvation must expand beyond our own needs? Are we not invited to share this light, igniting change in one another through acts of love and compassion? Mary, her heart swelling with the fullness of those gathered, spoke softly to her child. Yeshua means God saves, but may it also signal that we are the ones being called to save one another through our love and actions. His name holds a promise for all humanity, our interconnectedness. The air buzzed with excitement and realization, as conversations erupted around the notion that Yeshua's identity might compel them toward defining a new way of being in the world. One shepherd stepped forward, inspired. What if our mission is to reflect this love wherever we go? What if to truly know Yeshua is to create a community that embodies compassion and acceptance, breaking down the walls we've built? Joseph, leaning against the stable wall, his gaze gentle and fierce, added, as we share our stories, our pain, our joy, weave a tapestry that holds room for every voice. To honor Yeshua's name means to embrace our humanity and invite others into a space of healing and redemption. As the sun breached the horizon, spilling molten gold across the land, the group felt themselves bathed in the warmth of a new dispensation, a mission that asked them to step beyond the confines of expectation and step into the spectrum of love that Yeshua would serve, not just to proclaim, but to act upon. It was then that an unexpected visitor appeared at the entrance of the stable, a young woman whose eyes sparkled with curiosity and longing, her cloak tattered by life's uncertainties. I heard whispers of a child born to bring hope. Is it true? Can he save me? She asked, her voice trembling slightly as she probed the hearts she found before her. Mary, holding Yeshua close, stepped forward with an instinctual empathy. Yes, dear one. His name carries salvation, but not in the way you might expect. It is through love that we find healing. It is through community that we discover strength. The woman, hesitant yet intrigued, knelt before the infant, her heart stirring with a deep yearning as if reaching towards the divine. How can I be part of this? How can I draw from the strength of his name when my own feels so burdened? Gaspar reached out to her, his voice full of warmth. Together, we all hold pieces of Yeshua's promise. Lay down what weighs you down. No name can define you beyond the love that nurtures your spirit. Join us in this journey. Allow the light of Yeshua to guide you. In that sacred moment, the young woman, and those present, began to realize that their stories, while diverse, resonated with themes of longing, hope, and shared humanity. They started to weave their narratives into a collective understanding. We are interconnected in our search for love and truth, and in Yeshua, we find a call to rise together. United in spirit, they began to share their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, each voice adding to the fabric of a new community. Laughter mingled with tears as they bore witness to the strength that unfurled when they embraced vulnerability and offered acceptance. An extraordinary shift rippled through the room, an awakening anchored in the power of their shared stories. As they gathered closer around Yeshua, they felt a tremendous sense of purpose take shape, to carry the name Yeshua beyond the stable, to illuminate the world with acts of love, to be messengers of hope in paths unknown. As the first rays of sunlight bathed the stable in warmth, a powerful realization settled over them like a divine mantle. Yeshua was not merely a name to be whispered or revered. He was an emblem of revolutionary love, calling forth the deepest potential within each of them and inviting a journey of transformation. And as the group prepared to step into the world, they carried with them a revelation that would reverberate through time. The story of Yeshua had taken root in their hearts, and his promise of salvation was intertwined with their actions, their connections, and the courage to stand together in the light of love. As the door swung open, they ventured forth, ready to share their newfound understanding of Yeshua not just as a name, but as the living embodiment of hope, love, and their own unfolding destinies. With each step into the light of day, they learned, it is not merely in the recognition of Yeshua's name that we find salvation, but in the living out of that name, embodying it within the very essence of who we are meant to be.